Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another episode of the We Talk Talent series. Those who have been following us know that the We Talk Talent series is a special initiative curated by the Economic Times ETHRWorld, where we unveil the latest trends surrounding the human capital management space. And I'm very delighted to welcome today's guest with us, Mr. Ajay Krishnankutty, Head of Talent Acquisition, Siemens Healthineers. Welcome, Ajay.
Thank you so much, Priya.
So I will start with a brief introduction of Ajay. So Ajay comes with 21 plus years of experience in the talent management and talent acquisition space in the IT industry. He heads the talent acquisition for Siemens Healthineers, and prior to that was instrumental in growing Legato from 4,600 to 22,000 people company in just 2 years. Ajay has always been key in setting up recruitment operations in more than 20 plus countries in his career and has been associated with brands like Concentrix, UST, and IG Index. He is extremely passionate about the DE&I agenda and helped multiple companies in India to set up the process. Ajay is an avid traveler and reader. So with that, Ajay, I will straight jump into my first question of the day. Since we have been seeing the lot of changes that the workplace has gone through in past few years, and also the pandemic has brought in the healthcare industry in front and center. With that, it has also possessed a lot of challenges for the companies, and we all know the talent war that has been going irrespective of the time industry is facing. So with that, I would like to ask you, according to you and your industry's demands, what kind of skill shortage do you think is the cause of talent war?
Thank you, Priya. Great question. So just give you a context, Priya. The war for talent predominantly started in the last 2 years, right? Post-pandemic, you see quite a bit of roles being pushed across to India, companies moving highly into the digitization space, right? Which is creating that gap in terms of the talent for digital skills, right? That's what has been happening. Shortage is predominantly on the digitization space. When digital skill sets are of high demand, testing also goes high in demand from an automation standpoint of view because both of them are practically married with each other. And when you have huge surge of talent, automatically you need more technical managers, more people managers. You need people to even, like the support groups also are increasing because they are also directly linked across the spans of each company. Let's take 2 years back, right? When people were hiring a lot of young talent, I'm talking about talent from the industry. We always had the pyramid very well placed. Every year we were getting the graduates pushing onto the pyramid, which was helping us make that shortage of talent grow faster, right? Because as India is growing almost 12 to 15% on the IT demand, you need from mathematically around 3 to 7 lakhs graduates being pushed into the industry every year. That's the only way of getting the talent up. During the pandemic stage, I think most companies, because of either being very careful about how they are planning for the future, because things were very uncertain, a lot of companies automatically put their brakes on not hiring graduates, right? So that 2 years of gap where a lot of companies put a full stop or maybe slow down on their graduate hiring space, there is at least a shortage of, let's say, 3 to 4 lakhs of engineers in the market, which is causing. So we have more demand, we have less of people who are moving from one pool to another. Automatically, the cost increases. It's just economics playing at scale. But because of that 1 or 2 years of graduates being hired very, very less from the market standpoint of view, suddenly you are seeing not enough people available in the market. So the market is correcting itself. If you see the way a lot of companies are hiring in the last 6 months to 7 months, there is a lot of push for graduates being brought into the system. One, to bridge that gap of what happened in the last 2 years' time, and also to correct the cost economics which are there. Like all of us know, it has been a crazy market. People has been getting paid huge amounts of money, much, much more than what we would have hired 2 years back. So I think it's correcting, but digital skills definitely have shortage. But I believe it all came because of the fact that we were not hiring enough young talent from the market to kind of take care of the bottom part of our pyramids.
Yeah, Ajay, those are some great points that you shared with us, that the demands, how it has changed and how it has led to the war. You also mentioned that last 2 years has also opened up a lot new demands for the skills, as in new skills that are in demand because of the digitization that we have all been going through. So with that, I would like to ask you, how do you see importance of soft skills evolving in future, since that has also come in center during the pandemic?
Soft skills has always been a part of our industry, Priya. So if you look at a successful tech um, worker in the industry right now, um, 5 years back, they were mostly working from office. They were actually, or let's say, let's not even go 5 years. 2 years back, they were almost all of them were working from office. Communication used to be a lot more easier because we are practically next to each other. We can go nudge somebody and get our job done. And we were mostly working on a lot of India related jobs, right? Where a lot of companies may not have interfaces with their direct clients, unlike the current times when you have so much of requirements coming from outside India, and where you have to kind of speak to your clients to get the demand or the demand requirements in a better way, right? So to split the question into two ways, work from home or hybrid working model automatically asks for people whose soft skills are has to be a notch above 2 years back. They have to be proactive in their communication. They have to be good on their written skills because instead of meetings, they are actually kind of documenting quite a bit of stuff. So they have to be very crisp in terms of how they are sharing the data, sharing their thoughts across to the uh, others in their team or maybe outside their teams. Look at our Scrum meetings, right? Earlier, a lot of our Scrum meetings would be happening in person. We were all it used to be like huddle. Now we all huddle in front of teams. If you don't speak up, then you are always at a back burner in terms of not sharing your thoughts and not being perceived as somebody who is contributing. Like so, soft skills plays quite a bit of, or rather, a huge role currently post pandemic because of the way we have changed our working styles, the way we are writing emails, way we are speaking in our calls, way we are communicating with our management team, our clients, our vendors are very, very essential. And if you look at the talent which is coming from the graduate industry, right, that's another thing that you have to keep thinking about. And that's something that people from the industry also are need to kind of give it a thought. When I say industry, I'm talking about young graduates who are coming from the market, as well as colleges who are shaping out these young graduates, right? Around 15 lakh graduates. When I say graduates, I'm talking about STEM graduates who actually kind of get out into the market every year in India. Only around 15 to 20% are employable because of their lack of soft skills. Remember, there is no shortage of jobs for them, provided they had the grip or rather they had the right communication skills. As long as their communication skills and attitude is right, and most of them can actually kind of pick up at least some technology and start working, right? It all depends on which is the demand in the market. As long as they are flexible to learn any technology, jobs are there, but they have to definitely enhance the soft skill aspect, because even when you are getting interviewed by a corporate, and majority of the corporates are predominantly looking at mostly the communication and attitude. Technology is something that is derivatory. We can actually kind of teach them. So very, very key skill, Priya. If you are out there looking for a job, enhance that skill, because that's what we are looking for. And I think hybrid is there to stay. I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. So as long as hybrid is there, you need to have impeccable soft skills for sure.
Thank you, Ajay. Those are some really great points. And I think our audiences has a lot to take away, that how boldly you share that this is what you are looking for. And if you want to get a job, please get this point ticked on. So we also know that how passionate about you are about the DE&I agenda and how much work you have done in those areas. So with that, I would like to ask you if you can throw some light on your current DE&I agenda at Siemens.
Great question, Priya. So I've been on the D&S side for the last at least 12 years. I've been purely focusing my energies in terms of that. As a TA leader, D&I is always an agenda, right? It all starts from very basic things like gender diversity, right? Gender diversity is very, very critical. And you all of us know the importance of why we need diverse workforce, especially in the current era when all the thought process from multiple people come, the better the products and the entire conceptualization of how we are building a product or a software, right? Our agenda in Siemens Healthineers is very high from a D&I standpoint. We always advocated for that. We are very high on the gender diversity for sure, but our focus is now a lot on the other sectors. Like, for example, we are very much invested in terms of looking at LGBTQ hiring. PWD is a very big agenda in terms of making sure that we are giving back to that community too. Veterans is another space that we are working on. Even inside gender diversity, we are also keenly focusing on one, how we can enhance women who are currently out of jobs, for example, right? People who have been away from jobs, by having back to work programs or internship programs for them so that they can enhance their skill set to either find a job within Healthineers or maybe out there in the market. So it's about giving back to the society in terms of helping people who are like there, especially the minority group that we are kind of looking at, right? Veteran is one agenda that we are pushing for quite a bit, Priya, in terms of like people who have served in the armed forces, how we can take them back into the jobs, either by reskilling them or finding them the right opportunities within the company where they can fit into. Again, just to put in a context, all of these are driven by our people. So we have our groups, ERG groups, which are there who are running all of our agenda. So very focused on the DE and the side from a Healthineers standpoint of view. On the other side, Priya, I'm also helping companies being a consultant or guiding them in terms of that. A lot of companies are now getting into the agenda of DEI because it's a core part of how every company's culture is perceived, especially the new generation which is coming for working with any company, right? Compensation and other things are very secondary for them. They are looking at a lot of key things, right? One is how good the culture of the company is, right? And DEI directly reflects your culture. A young person coming from the college, now if you see a company where a lot of women diversity is there, right? Be it male or female candidate, right? Or they are finding that the company is very open for LGBTQ folks. You are having PWD people being working over there. For them, that's a very inclusive culture. They know that it's a very welcoming company there. People are looked upon equally. So that's something that most of the new generation is looking for. So if a company is not doing that right now, they're in a very bad space where it will be very difficult for them to get that young talent from the market. So I am helping a few companies who are in the middle sized from a headcount standpoint of view to help set up the agenda, getting them to the right partners who can help them in terms of scaling that up. And most importantly, how women are being elevated in the system, right? That's another big thing that most companies need to focus, because a lot of companies would have pretty decent gender diversity if you look at overall, but when you go up the ladder, the pyramid is very skewed. So as Siemens Healthineers, we are doing quite a bit of initiatives to elevate the women or enhance the skill set of women to kind of get into the top levels a lot more faster, kind of fast tracking their growth, so that we have a great presence of gender on all segments of our pyramid. And most importantly, that's the advice that I give to other companies too when I am speaking with them in terms of not just hiring and getting women from the market, but also ensuring that we put a great career path for all the women in the company to kind of figure out the growth, because they are not like men, right? They need to kind of take care of the family, and some of them would have to take a break in their career to kind of take care of their personal aspect, right? So it's a great agenda, but we have to be fully invested in that, Priya. And that's what Siemens is doing, and I'm also helping the other companies who are in my circle kind of get there too.
Yeah, those are some great initiatives. You have explained diversity to its core, which is the need of the hour. And you also mentioned about women not being in the leadership position. That's really one of the focus points that companies should look into. I totally agree with those. And you also briefly mentioned about how the new generation is more focused about other things as well, apart from being the compensation and benefits part of a job. So if you can throw some light about how is new generation that is entering the workforce, and how is their expectations is different from the previous generation.
Thank you, Priya. So couple of things to think about, right? Think from the generation that I come from, right? It used to be very different at that point in time. One opportunity is very different from an IT standpoint of view, or any other. Let's keep IT separate. Like, think purely from what our need was. Our need was more of, let's say, stable job, security, decent amount of money. We were not very bothered about work-life balance. We all of us were raised with a culture thinking that the harder you work, the better for you. So slightly, if you think about the new generation, that thought process has completely changed. The new generation is a lot more. I wouldn't call them as chill, but they know where they are headed to a little more better than our earlier generations. The amount of knowledge they possess is exponentially higher than the earlier generations because of the exposure they have to the internet, right? Because internet has changed the world quite a bit in the last 5-7 years. A lot of things have gone mobile. Most of them are already addicted to the mobile, but that addiction is in a way giving them the exposure in terms of what's happening with the world, right? They are a lot more exposed to the realities of the world. Why work-life balance is very critical. So the new generation, unlike earlier ones, like I mentioned earlier to you, right? They are not just looking for money. Money is for them secondary factor. They know that if they put their heart out on where they want to be headed, money automatically comes to them. And thankfully, last 2 years has just added fuel onto the fire, right? They actually know that they just have to kind of get into the right technologies, especially from an IT standpoint of view, and money is automatically there for them. It's a good time to be a new generation person in IT, if you ask me from a hiring stand or rather from a market standpoint of view. Purely from the way the new generation is looking from a job standpoint of view, Priya, they are looking, like I mentioned, what is there from a career standpoint of view, the growth aspect, right? So a lot of them are joining companies which may not even have the right branding out there. Earlier, we used to be a lot bothered about the brand, right? When we have big brands offering, even if it was like a very low salary, our parents would automatically say, this is a good brand, go join them, right? You would have stability of the job. You can run along with the company for a long time. The new generation is not bothered much about that. A lot of them are joining startups, which may not even last 2 or 3 years' time, just because of the learning opportunities. And they are putting a bet, knowing that if that clicks, right, they have a long way to go. They are going to be making some quick money out of that. And secondly, they are going to be growing a lot more faster in a startup because the company can grow exponentially fast if things are going on very well for them. A lot of them are a lot more risk takers too, compared to earlier times. Yeah. So the risk taking element in terms of joining a company without a brand or joining a company with even just 5 people working there, it's not a big botheration as long as they are being challenged every day from a technology or a job standpoint of view, right? Whether they are in the tech side or on the non-tech side. So that's a big change. With pandemic coming in, their demands is also high from a work-life standpoint of view. So earlier things about working 16 hours, 15 hours is not going to be clicking in the market anymore. They are very interested in their growth factor from a learning standpoint of view. So, and they know that unless they have the me time, they cannot actually kind of learn anything more. If you are already in the office for 16 hours, there is nothing left in you from a learning standpoint of view because you don't have the juice in you anymore to kind of even look for anything or invest time in yourself. So they are bothered about that. So 3-4 factors. Yeah. So just to kind of put it short, career growth opportunities they are looking for. They are a lot more risk taking. They need that flexibility in terms of work-life balance. They need flexibility in terms of work timings, right? If you actually these are the 4 critical elements that they are very, very different from the earlier generations. And if the corporates are going to be focusing on that, then they will stick on. And this is a generation which doesn't believe in long tenures unless they are being treated very well, right? So the loyalty is directly relative to how they are also being treated. It's not a one-way street anymore. So that's what all of us are actually looking at. We are at Siemens Healthineers also, we are doing the same thing, Priya. We are focusing on these 3 or 4 critical elements so that one, we attract the right new generation into our team, and then how we can actually kind of retain them within us.
Thanks, Ajay. I think you have gotten the pain point of the new generation totally correctly, because I can relate to a lot of things that you are saying today. It has been lovely having you on this episode of We Talk Talent series, and I'm sure audiences have gotten so much things to note down and work on it. Thank you so much, Ajay.
And thank you so much, Priya, and thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with you and your team.